Very much for inviting me. It's really good to be with you today. So, my name is Nigel Bridges. As said, I'm CEO of a company called Veracity AI, and we have spent the last 5 or 6 years on the cutting edge of trying to make sure that when people or entities enter into webby states, they are what you think they are. So it's a human rather than a bot, for example. Um, we've been using AI or machine learning for the past 2 or 3 years to really help in that. And so what I'm going to talk about this morning is a little bit of what we're doing, what we have found, and the emerging threats as we see the rapid growth of AI agents, so agentic AI. So I hope you'll find this interesting. I want to make two apologies when we start. Um, Cyber AI futures is such a vast topic that I can only focus on one element, so I will. And the second is I did not use AI to write this presentation, so all of the mistakes are mine. Let me share a slide and we'll move on. Now, do shout if you can see a big front screen. Yes? Yep. Good. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Let me crack on. So a couple of quick slides. That's me. Two very brief slides on who we are. Veracity AI. We are at the forefront of using behavioral analysis to defeat malicious bot threats, predominantly coming into web estates, but also in digital advertising. So bots clicking on ads and wasting your budget, for example, or bots clicking on ads, going through to your website, then your back-end systems in order to scrape data, plant ransomware, and so on. That's basically us. You'll see from the logos. Some of our credentials there, we work with the Cybersecurity Agency in Singapore, for example. We've also got a base in Hong Kong on the Science and Technology Park. We've got an award there, bottom left, Security Excellence Awards, good nomination there, which we're very proud of. And the Technology Impact of the Year Award, second from the bottom left, and that one was in Singapore as well. So some very strong credentials there. And if I just go forward, you'll see there a whole load of awards that we've won over the past 2 or 3 years. Anyway, let me move on. Talk to you a little bit about the current binary threat landscape. I say binary because the world is rapidly moving into 3 dimensions. So I want to start in the 2-dimensional world. So everybody at the moment is talking about AI, agentic models, AI optimized search, genetic AI, governance. The world is rapidly moving from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. And the cyber protection part, as you will know, is often the boring but very, very necessary part. So the cyber professional has spent the last decade trying to keep bots out of their web estate. Suddenly, the world has changed, and you need to work out whether you want to let some bots into your web estate. Do you expose your internal data to external AI engines? Or do you only expose your internal data to internal AI agents and engines within a walled garden? And which AI agents and which AI engines do you use and which ones do you trust? So lots of questions now that we were not asking 2 years ago that have suddenly become very, very important. Just looking at the reality of the threat. Now, these statistics are a year old. It's getting worse, but there's some very interesting stuff here. So, for example, it is still true that around about 30% of all web visitor traffic comes from sophisticated malicious bots that you should stop. The sort of bot that is looking to, steal data, plant ransomware, and so on. A very high percentage of businesses will admit that they've experienced cybercrime, and on the consumer side, around about half of all consumers will say that they will no longer do business with a company that has knowingly experienced data loss. So we all know the statistics. Let me frighten you with an example. So this is a customer of ours, and they're in the insurance business. And when we started to look at the visitors to their website, we found that around about 40%, 40% of their website visitors were bots, not human. So their web analytics would tell them that they got 2,000 visits. The reality is only 1,200 were human. What is interesting about this company is that they were using cybersecurity software. They actually were using Cloudflare, and so Cloudflare did not stop all of these bots coming to hit their website. They thought they were protected, and they weren't. When we got involved, what we managed to do is help them to then go back to Cloudflare, tune Cloudflare better, so that Cloudflare stopped more bots at the network and the server level. So they stopped the unsophisticated ones, the DDoS attacks and so on. And then we stop the really nasty ones that still get through their first tests. Now it's around about 10% of all website visits still get through Cloudflare onto their website. About 10% are bots. So the point here is that you need a layered approach with the right tools. And with this company, they deployed Veracity as the last line of web defense behind the WAF. And therefore, we stop the nasty bots that get through everyone else. We will all be familiar with Capture. I don't know whether anyone is still using Capture. But the problem with Capture is it might give a sense of security, but it really isn't very effective. For several years, there's been software that can get through Capture quite easily, and with agentic AI, it is now very easy to defeat Capture. The other thing about Captures, of course, is they add friction to the user journey. So what we're trying to do is to do the same as Capture, only no friction, and it works. But there's still too many organizations using Capture and think that they are safe. One very quick example, if you know where to look, and on position 3 in Google, we found this Capture application, a defeat Capture application. It tells you exactly how to install the software, and down the bottom on the left, it tells you exactly what it's doing to solve the Capture. So, yeah, these are not difficult to find. And then if anybody in the room fancies being an Instagram star, you can very, very easily find a bot out there that will make you a star. Very straightforward, very straightforward. So we're seeing the propensity of bots really beginning to disrupt business processes. And then you will probably have seen the headline from about 2 months ago, where ChatGPT just easily defeated Cloudflare's bot detection software. So this was a headline. You can see them all over the internet. But what you now need to know, if you have a web estate, small or large, you need to now really work out which humans and which bots and which AI agents to let in and which ones to stop. That is now utterly critical, and it needs a new generation of software to do it. And that is the focus of Veracity. Feel free to Google that. It's all over the internet. And here is a quote on that cyber breach. You can read the top very easily, but the breakthrough demonstrated through automated interactions with Cloudflare's security interface shows the AI agent completing the human verification process that millions of users encounter daily across the internet. The verification system designed to distinguish between human users and automated bots appears to have been circumvented through sophisticated AI reasoning and interaction capabilities. Let me move on a bit. Let's look at where this is all leading, because we have just seen not just the proliferation of AI agents and their growth, but we've just seen AI and AI agents defeating captures, defeating Cloudflare, defeating the sort of security measures that we all know and use. So is the apocalypse coming? This was a headline that I picked up just last week. One end of the spectrum is a doom-laden view of the future. The other end of the spectrum is a really positive place to be. The reality is probably a bit of both, isn't it? It's somewhere in the middle. So what I've done is I've done a bit of research from the latest findings of AI and AI agents, and I'll put some of these slides up now. This graph here shows two things. The big red lines are the number of new AI host launches in millions. This is over the last year, but the blue line that is growing is the number of website visits generated by AI, not human. And you can see the startling high, steady growth. So the number of visits to websites from AI is growing month by month and is not going to slow down. So if you're a website owner, you need to decide, do you let AI-driven visits in? If so, what do you let them see? And how do you know that they are good AI visits or bad AI visits? So we've suddenly moved from a two-dimensional problem of human or bot to a three-dimensional problem of human, good bot or bad bot. And that's our challenge. Headline from just last week from the Bug Crowd report. 71% of hackers believe that AI technologies increase the value of hacking, up from 21% in 2023. So we all know and love AI. We see a bright future, but so do the hackers. 71% welcome AI because it means they can conduct their criminal activities much better. Now, this is a very busy slide, but I'm very happy to make this available to you. But there are a lot of statistics on here. This comes from the CrowdStrike's Global Threat Report. And all of these statistics simply point to an increase in threats because of AI. So adversaries are becoming more efficient, they're becoming more focused, and they're becoming more businesslike in their approach. So in many ways, adversaries are more like the enterprise organizations that they are preying on. Adversaries come in lots of different types, but they are highly effective. They are nation states, they are criminal gangs, and they're just hacktivists. And they have all become early adopters of AI technologies. So Gen AI is now emerging as an attractive tool for the bad guys with a much lower barrier of entry and far wider accessibilities. One of the statistics that's not on this slide, 74% of the organizations that were surveyed had either been breached in the previous 12 to 18 months or are worried that they are vulnerable to breach because of this growth in AI and AI activism. Moving on, much easier slide to see. With agentic AI now performing unintended actions for 80% of companies, it's not surprising 96% of companies state that AI agents are a growing security risk. It's almost all of them. The problem is only 44% of companies have implemented relevant governance policies to manage AI agents and the data that the agents will access and share. So despite this complexity, around about 60% of organizations report using an identity security solution to manage AI agents. So there's growing awareness of AI agents, growing awareness of the threat, but the ability to stop the threat is lagging the growth of the hacktivists. We all love statistics, so there's a few more here. Here are some alarming ones. 82% of companies are already using AI agents. Half of them acknowledge that AI agents are accessing sensitive information, but 80% reveal that AI agents have performed unintended actions accessing and sharing inappropriate data. That is frightening. 92% state that governing AI agents is really important to enterprise security, but only 44% of companies have got any governance policies in place at all. So you can see there it's a rapidly changing landscape, and the ability for criminals, nation states, hacktivists to do nasty things is growing and growing. Every organization with a webby state is vulnerable. Let's just look at the threats and the destinations, and this is kind of interesting. There is no sector that is immune. You can see on the right hand side the top sectors for threats: healthcare, financial services, industrial, energy there. So you can see there, look, all sectors are under threat. And in the bottom middle, that is a list of the countries for the average cost of a security breach. And you can see there, India, 14th, the average cost of a data breach, $2.35 million. Now, that is obviously skewed. The larger the company, the bigger the cost. But you can see data breaches cost money as well as reputation. The scary thing here, of course, is that AI enables people to craft things like highly personalized emails, voices, videos, just to mimic real people, mimic real brands. And that means that attackers are far harder to detect. So let's have a look at the good guys. I'm sure you've come across OWASP, the Open Web Application Security Project. They published some guidelines recently, which are very helpful, TIDs, and their threat number 9, guideline number 9, is all about trying to stop identity spoofing and impersonation by AI agents. So the industry is fighting back. We're on the back foot, but people are trying to do good things to help. If anyone wants a useful article on all of this, I've just put a QR code up there. This was a blog actually that one of our people wrote a little while ago. Are AI agents a threat to all industries, or are they just another tool? Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. But if you begin to look around, you can now find some really helpful articles to assist us. Interestingly, around about 60% of malicious traffic employed advanced behavioral techniques to evade signature-based detection. So we're really beginning to see AI agents now using advanced behavior in order to detect behavior-based defenses. So what I want to do next is look at the e-commerce environment. I realize I'm going quite fast, but there's a lot to cover. Let's have a quick look at a case study, and let's have a look at the advertising sector. So brands, e-commerce, and so on. We're going to find that the advent of AI and the proliferation of AI is going to impact this sector significantly. It's going to make changes that we have not seen before. So consumers over the next probably couple of years will be using personalized AI agents to help them purchase. You can imagine, teenager using their personalized AI agent to buy their latest trainers, their Nikes. That presents a major problem to the current advertising ecosystem. So, for example, if an organization is spending money on Google Ads, PPC, or Facebook, or Instagram ads, then at the moment, you want to attract humans to click on the ad, and you want to stop a bot clicking on the ad. Because if a bot clicks on the ad, you've wasted the ad. Now, you might want an AI agent to click on the ad if it's part of the personalized agent of the person you're trying to sell your goods to. So you can see that suddenly we're in a very complex three-dimensional world. And that hasn't gone unnoticed. So there are a number of key trends here in digital commerce that is worth just working through. The big screen grab, top right, I just did a Google on how SEO is going to change. And this headline came up, and it's absolutely right. Agentic AI is changing SEO because it's no longer about search engine optimization. It is going to be about agent optimized search. How do you optimize your website for the right AI agents to find you and to present your data to the AI agent in the best possible manner, while stopping the wrong AI agent from entering and stealing your data? You can see how suddenly it's got very complicated. So there's a phrase that we've been using for a couple of years on the bottom line, number 10, cost per human visitor. You can measure how effective your advertising campaigns are by a simple measure of how much does it cost to drive a human to my website. Well, that is no longer the only valid indicator. You now need to work out the cost per agent visitor. How much does it cost to drive the right AI agent to your website? And do you pay differently for that? How do you value that? So this world of e-commerce is about to change absolutely rapidly. So if you yourself or you've got customers out there talking about setting up pay-per-click advertising and running pay-per-click campaigns, that's probably valid for today. But for tomorrow, you're going to have to start worrying about AI agents clicking on the ads, whether you want that to happen or not, how much you value those clicks, and whether you want those clicks to lead through to the website. That's the sort of stuff, by the way, that we are working on. So some takeaways there for digital e-commerce. I hope that's useful. The key one is just to ask yourself the question, what impact is AI and cybersecurity going to have on the market that you're operating in? So let me tell you a little bit about how we are addressing the problem, and then I can open up for questions. As we know, cyber defense is changing rapidly. 20 years ago, it was about making sure you locked the server door. Now it is far, far more complex, and it is having to change from being reactive to proactive. So cyber defense strategies are being driven by these 6 areas. And the very top one is about advanced analytics and AI. So it's all about looking at threat intelligence, the integration of threat intelligence, proactive risk assessments, cross-functional collaboration, all around a zero trust architecture. And I'm sure there are people in the room that understand all of those areas. But bad actor attack strategies are also changing. We all know about deep fakes, social engineering, but supply chain attacks are growing. The emergence of quantum is going to add yet another dimension that we need to worry about. So as cyber professionals, we need to be very aware of the major changes that are impacting us every day through the growth of AI and then the onboarding of quantum. This is a little bit about us and what we do. As a company, we are totally focused at advanced bot detection and mitigation. So what we're looking to do is to stop nasty bots entering websites before they can do harm. In the old days, it was about detecting humans, stopping bots. Nowadays, it is growing to stopping bad AI agents and letting good AI agents in. So that's what we do. We are very focused on that area. We're powered by behavioral analysis because we believe that certainly at the moment the best way to distinguish good from bad is through the use of behavior. So not IP lists or anything like that, but the real deep use of behavioral characteristics to understand the visitor and then to work out whether a visitor is good or bad. Machine learning underpins what we do, And that helps us to predict bots versus humans, good versus bad, with a very, very high degree of accuracy. So there are many organizations and software providers who are good at bot detection. And I don't deny that at all. So I thought it would be worth just talking about the landscape slightly. And if you look on the right-hand side, bot detection software tends to work in one of three different areas. You have a group of bot detection companies working around servers, server logs, all that kind of stuff. So in the server, that's where they're looking for good versus bad. Netasia, a very good example of that, and very good at doing that. You then have a group of companies that work in the network, on the edge. And they look at things like IP reputation, packet profiling, origin device info, and so on. And so those organizations like Akamai, Imperva, F5, Cloudflare. So typically an organization will deploy those, and they will be very good at stopping those large swarm attacks, DDoS attacks, and so on. Stop them in the server, yeah, 1 million hits a second. Stop them in the server before they get to your website and take you down. Where we work is we work at the client side on the website. So for all of those nasty bots that get through the first 2 layers, we then stop them at the browser using behavioral analysis. And that's where, for example, that insurance company at the beginning of my talk is using us. They're using Cloudflare to stop the bulk, and then us to stop the really nasty ones that you want to stop. I'm not going to go through that, but I'm going to finish there just with a couple of quotes. The quote on the left is indeed that insurance company. The quote on the right is a software product company. I'll let you read those. So a couple of take-home notes here. Here are 6 questions that I think is worth everybody looking at. How much does the business leadership really understand about the impact that AI is going to have on them? What are they doing now? What are they planning to do in the future for these impacts, because they are happening? How are organizations currently using AI? What do they need to change? What security measures are in place to secure customer data, financial data, company data? What data do you expose to external AI agents? What data do you stop? And how do you stop AI agents accessing that data? What weaknesses do you have in your security, especially regarding AI agents? And how do you detect the good from the bad? And then point number 6 is simply a reminder that the bad guys are learning very quickly. And so we need to as well. Thank you very much for your time. This is me. I'm Nigel Bridges. I'm very happy to connect with anybody, have a conversation. I'll stop the presentation there. And if anybody has any questions, I'm very happy to take any.
Thank you, Nigel. I hope it was interesting. Would have got an idea about how it's changing the landscape and how Veracity can help with protection. Yeah, so Chirag has a question.
Hey, Nigel.
Hi.
First of all, thanks a lot for a detailed presentation and explaining about changing landscape in terms of the bot side. So my question is, like, I run a cybersecurity company. Now you mentioned it's perfectly right. Like there is a company who are managing at a server side, and they are seeing that whether the bot is there or not. Then there are agents, there are command Cloudflare F5s. Those are coming into the picture. Now,
Yeah.
now you mentioned very interesting part that Veracity is doing on the client side. So how does I obviously I do not want to go to too much on technical side, but if you can explain me into the like on the high level how it will be helpful and how we can means it would be helpful for the customers. What it will
Yes,
do.
no, thank you. Yeah, good question.
Sorry,
So-
Nigel, sorry, I'll interrupt there. After you finish, if you can just show the demo of the dashboard as well, so all of them can get an idea what exactly is being done and how the dashboard looks and what like the features are there.
I'll try to work in parallel then while I answer the question. Let me find that.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. To answer your question, I think we're moving to a place where we have to have a multi-layered approach to preventing cybercrime. And so if you think of the architecture of the network of the world, when a bot, a nasty entity, player sort of enters, they'll be coming through the server, through the network, then through the servers, perhaps through the network again, and then onto your website. I would say the majority, the vast majority of bot detection software is focusing on trying to stop bots in the server or in the network, because that's where, if you can stop them there, it's efficient, it's cheaper, it's quick, they don't hit your web estate. If you stop them there, fantastic. So people like the Akamais, the Cloudflares, the Impervas, the Netacers of this world will be stopping hundreds of millions of bots daily in the network, in the edge. So a DDoS attack, if you think about it, is just millions and millions of hits really quickly trying to take a server down. That's where you need to stop it. What we've found over the last 3-4 years, and certainly the last 1 or 2, is people are now using AI to write very sophisticated bots that look like humans and therefore can circumvent those layers of defenses. So Cloudflare, Akamai, whatever, are not stopping them. The only way that you can detect them, or efficient way, is by looking at the behavior of that visit and asking yourself, is that a characteristic of a human or not? And the place that you can look at behavior is on the website itself. So you've got a very narrow window of opportunity. Bad player hits the website. We look at the behavior of the visit, mouse movements, thumb movements on a phone, all that kind of thing. And we can detect whether it's good or bad, human or non-human, really quickly. So you need to detect it quickly and accurately, but before it can do any damage. So that's really the architecture. So we're very much, you have to work with all these systems working together, because if you just used us without something in the server, then you're going to have millions of bad hits on us, and that's not good. If you just use server-based or network-based, the nasty ones are going to get through and you won't be able to stop them. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thanks a lot for that one. But still, Nigel, there is one question. If you are okay, I want to ask on that part.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it's completely right, and in fact we are moving in that direction in the future. But my question is, when we'll talk about the whether server level or network level, we are talking about the cookie cutter solution. When the Cloudflare will implement, it would be cookie cutter solution for all the customers. When you are saying that you have to train the AI, based on the user behavior and anomalies and heuristic behaviors, and then it will identify whether it's a human or AI. Then it can't be a cookie cutter, right? Every website, every customer,
Correct.
we need to train the AI.
That's exactly what we're saying. And what we're finding is different geographies and different markets attract different types of threat.
Correct.
So the sort of bad players going after financial services in London will be different to those going after industrial in India.
I completely agree. But then on the lighter note, what would we will say the model of your business, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, because for every customer you will reinvent the wheel.
No, it's actually a blend of both, because we have a great big bot database, yeah, and so that's our initial testing is that bot in a database? Have we come across it before? Has another customer found it? We put it in our database and we're helping you. So you've got a network effect. So that will stop a lot of them. And then you've got the new bots that perhaps no one's ever seen before. We're using behavior and going, yes, you're not a human, you're a bot. So we're putting that in the database as well and stopping it. So it's a mixture of both. You can't just have the cookie cutter, because there are new bots all the time and they're getting very sophisticated. But you do also need to have that database of bots, because of the ones that have been around for days, weeks, months, so on.
I agree. Thanks a lot for detailed explanation, Nigel.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
Thank you, Nigel. So will you be sharing the demo, or should we ask?
I've just found it, if that's of interest. So here we go. So this is just a very quick view of our dashboard. I've literally just got it up, so this is fairly random. So what we've got here, this is for a customer. Let's have a look over at last month. So what we're finding here is that over the last month with this particular customer, they've had around about 8.4%. There you go. So around 8.4% of the visits to their website are malicious bots. I happen to know, because I know this customer, that they are using Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is stopping lots of the normal stuff, the easy stuff. 8% of their visits are getting through Cloudflare, and we're stopping them. And we can even tell you what that bot is going to do had we have not stopped it. And we classify bots in terms of high, medium, and low threat. So you can see here that they had 472 high threat bots in last month that we stopped. We can tell you how much CO2 has been wasted because of bots. We can tell you where those bots have come from. And you can see here it's a UK company, but you can see Turkey, Spain, but mainly the UK. So we can tell you the countries, the referral sources, and so on. So that's on the bot stopping side. And then on the advertising side, here you go. These guys are advertising on Meta, so probably Facebook. And we can tell you each day how many paid clicks, how many of those clicks landed, how many of them were human, how many of them were not human. And you can see just down here at the moment, around about 77% of their advertising clicks are resulting in human clicks. And we have managed to increase the number of humans by 40% over a baseline. So that's by stopping bots clicking on an ad so that you drive more humans to click on an ad. So, who doesn't want 40% more humans for the same budget? And we can drill down into different campaigns here as well. And if you remember, cost per human visitor I mentioned earlier. So you can see there 2 different adverts, and one of them is costing you twice as much as the other to drive a human visitor to the website. So spend more money on the first advert, less money on the second one. There we go. I'll stop sharing, but hopefully that gives you a very quick idea.
Yep. Thank you so much for sharing the dashboard and giving a glimpse of how the Veracity works and how the tracking happens. If anyone else have any questions, we can take more. Okay, so I think most of the questions have been answered in your presentation. Thank you once again for joining us all the way from the UK, and we appreciate it and sharing your insights with the community over here. And yeah, and we do have a 2-week free trial. So if you want to sign up, we'll show you a QR code later after the presentation. You can sign up and have a look at the dashboard which Nigel showed. Yeah, in that 2-week blocking, it would be just tracking. So you'll get an idea about how many bots are coming to your website, which are good, which are bad, which are human. So yeah, after the presentation, we are good with you. Thank you. Thank you, Nigel, so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.